Closing weekend at Santa Anita. We're going to get into the late pick 5 sequence for Saturday, June the 14th. The we is me, Gino alongside my good friend Barry Spears. Barry, buddy, the classic day pass is something that I'm not sure everybody knows about. Something that you can purchase if you're someone who plays like on Saturdays and Sundays, for example. This will be really, really helpful for you. It's like this weekend on Saturday. It's not like Belmont Stakes Saturday where you have all those races at one track. It's a much different type of Saturday. You've got a couple stakes races at Churchill. You've got a stakes race at Belmont at Aqueduct. You've got Delaware, where they've got an all stakes pick 5. There's a couple stakes races at Hastings. Monmouth Park has a really good stakes sequence. I think 4 stakes races for Haskell Preview. And then it's closing weekend at Santa Anita. So you might be bouncing around to a bunch of different tracks. This classic day pass is great because you pay $10, you get access to all of the tracks for Saturday, any tracks that you want. If you want to bump up to like formulator style, you pay a little bit more, but it's the same thing. It's a flat fee, and then you get any track you want. If you only want to look at 1 or 2 races, it's great. You don't have to feel like you're wasting money paying for a track that you don't bet a whole lot. I really like the format of the day pass.
Yeah, it's kind of like the mix and match, racing form kind of deal where
Exactly.
you get what you want and you go from there. I know there's the coast to coast pick 5, which I'm really interested in every weekend.
Yep.
So you get the
Last
PBs from
couple.
all those tracks, and then I think they even have the one for that specific bet too. So
Yep.
there's a lot of advantages having that classic day pass. I hope people will take advantage of it because it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. So check it out. Sometimes you look at a couple races or you think you want to play a day, and then you look through and you're like, gosh, I don't really love that much in here. That I might play somewhere else, and at least you don't waste your money buying that one track past performances or that one track form, and you don't even end up playing it at all. So check out the day pass, whether you're going to be using it for classic past performances. If you like the all access past performances, those are the ones that we end up using, then you will really enjoy it. And you can, I think, just pay like $5 more if that's the case. So Barry, buddy, let's talk about Santa Anita. It's closing weekend this weekend at Santa Anita. So Sunday will be mandatory payout in their pick 6. I think it's also a rainbow pick 6 mandatory at Gulfstream on Sunday.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Sunday is going to be pick 6 Sunday for those who are playing the first racing tracks. Let's talk about Saturday, though. We're going to get into the late pick 5 sequence. It starts in race number 8. 12 races carded on Saturday. And this 8th race, it's a 32 claimer going 6 furlongs on the flat turf course at Santa Anita. Anytime you see Noble Reflection in a race, you know he's going to go. He's really, really quick. He gets the inside draw. So once you see him in a race, then you kind of want to look and see, okay, are there other speeds? Because you know he's going. Sharpest Attack can sit a little. He has some speed. I think the horse who could maybe impact Noble Reflection would be the one to the outside, Osage Creek, because he seems pretty one-dimensional. I don't know how much he really wants to sit off the pace, Barry. So he's won 3 in a row, and they've been all on the front end. So if both of these horses are in, they feel like they are going to impact each other's chances just a little bit and probably set up for somebody off the pace.
I mean, on paper, it might look that way, but I think Noble Reflection
He's
is
faster.
way faster.
And 6 furlongs might be he can get 6.5 fine. It just might be easier for him to go a little bit faster early and just not worry about finishing as much late.
Yeah, and I think that's got to be the plan here, is just go and make them catch you. But I thought, just from a trip perspective, that the 6 Harry's on the Fly looks kind of interesting here. This horse has been training well. Came out to Santa Anita last year, or out to Southern California last year, and ran some pretty good races.
Yeah.
Just didn't win. And they laid this horse off, probably did a lot of good. You see that bullet on June 8th. But from a pace scenario and trip perspective, Harry's on the Fly might end up getting the best trip, especially if Osage Creek can
And puts pressure
no
on.
reflection at all.
Yeah. Because if that happens, it would set up pretty well for a horse like the 4, Sharp as Attack. It's always tough with a horse like this who at one point was facing a lot better and was classier and then is off for a long time and shows back up. But what I would say is a positive, you got the pretty good effort in a similar spot last time to show that he's still okay enough to be competitive at a level like this. I just wouldn't want to take a really short price on him, but he probably fits. Like he'll likely be sitting third, and if those horses go quick, he could probably be sitting right close to what you're saying with Harry's on the Fly, maybe in that next flight, third and fourth.
I think he likes to be closer, honestly.
Yeah.
And that might be to his detriment because
it would be, yeah,
because he's gonna be in between running styles. Basically, he doesn't really want to do what Harry's on the Fly does, and he doesn't want to do what Noble Reflection does. So he's kind of
back
in
a few
between.
lengths. That's
right.
the key.
Yeah, I don't know if he's capable of that at this point. I mean, hasn't really shown much since that effort back March last year, and it seems to be kind of falling down the class ladder too. That's not always a good thing.
I think the horse that I definitely will be using in all my tickets is What Makes Sammy Run. You just sort of know what he is at this level. Mark Glatt talks about how he just loved this horse because he kind of just shows up each and every time. His speed figures are in that last 9 races. He has 7 buyers between 84 and 88, where you just kind of know what you're going to get from him. When he steps up, and like you see it against optional 80 non-winners of 2, that's too tough for him. But right about this level, it's perfect. He just needs a trip, but he will come running late. He likes to win races. He's fine winning on the 6 furlong flat. He's actually really good on the 6 furlong flat. And there's a version of this race where maybe the 1, the 4, and the 7 are going at it, and he probably benefits most if that's the case.
Yeah, no doubt.
Super logical, like a solid fit.
Yeah, you don't want to take too short of a price though because of his running style. He's going to have to launch, and it might not be the most conducive races for that. But there's not many horses in here, and he's probably better than a majority of them.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you start doing the backwards process of elimination, right? You work backwards where, okay, if those 3 speed horses are all kind of impacting each other, and they're all kind of taking a little bit out of each other, all of a sudden he's only around 4 or 5 other horses. So he doesn't necessarily have as much traffic to deal with. He could be able to save some ground and not have to be maybe as wide as some of the others. Like, completely agree, not wanting to take a short price on him. He just is solid at this level in this spot. Like, you sort of know what you're going to get from him. And if it's not a case where one of these speed horses can kind of sneak away, he will likely be the one that gets a good trip and comes closing. I like the case Barry was making, though, for Harry's on the Fly, who could sit a nice trip, work things out. And I like him. I can make a case for him at 6. If we were going down the hill, I would be worried it was a little too far for him. But I still think the 5 furlong turf form can stretch out to 6 on the flat turf course because it plays really nicely to the horses who sit close. So if he is sitting third and those 2 speed horses go and he kind of falls into it, maybe he gets a really nice trip while What Makes Sammy Run and Commander have to come running late. So kind of an interesting price horse could get a nice trip. Harry's on the Fly. Barry, anything else you want to hit on race number 8?
No, I think we covered it.
Yep. Let's move to race number 9. This one is a maiden special weight, 7 furlongs for 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. So we're going to start with the 4 Sierra Silver because he has run into 2 stablemates in his 2 losses. In his career debut, he was in a very loaded race so far. The winner, goal-oriented for Baffert, came back, won in his second start at Churchill. Then he actually ran pretty well in the Preakness, to be honest, for just being his 3rd career start. He finished 4th behind Journalism, Gosker, and Sandman, and he finished in front of some nice horses. Runner-up that day, Train the Trainer. He came back. He just won the Mike Lee, which was a $200,000 New York bred stakes race. So that's the second next out winner. Varney He won at Pimlico on the Preakness undercard. He earned an 86 Beyer speed figure and crushed. Varney's also entered this weekend at Santa Anita. Concord Bridge, who was in that race, he came back. He won his next 2 starts. And look at how he jumped up on the speed figures. He was down in like his best was an 84. He was up into the 90s in his next 2 open length, easy victories for Concord Bridge. And even Day and Age comes out of this race, wins his next start, breaks his maiden, moving over to the turf, earning a 74 Beyer speed figure. This was a really, really strong race in his career debut. And Sierra Silver, while he didn't win, Barry, look at the improvement he showed. He moved up a bunch from an 83 to a 95 Beyer speed figure. The problem that he had on May the 10th, he ran into another stablemate that's just really fast. This horse can fly out of the gate. He's a little green and a little quirky, Southern Gentleman, but he can really, really fly. So from a starting point, this is a horse who has some foundation. He has the progression going from 6 to 6.5 to 7. And while you look at his losses, and I don't like when horses finish second and third repeatedly, I can easily get to why he lost. And it's not like he ran poorly in either one of them. So he's a starting point in here. But I mean, right next door could be a third time's the charm. There's another Baffert in here that he has to deal with one more time, whose dam Barry actually showed a little precocity, won the debut. Following that, they went right into Graded Stakes Company. And this is a horse who actually was working in the mornings. You could check out the works on first.tv. This horse was working with Citizen Bull. And on May the 24th, they were using him as the target for Citizen Bull because I think they were trying to get Citizen Bull ready to come from off the pace, which he did in the Woody Stevens, and he ran third, I think third or fourth. But one more time on May 30th, I thought he was better. Like they kind of had him on even terms. And one more time was really, really good. So that's kind of where I started in here, Barry. Where do you start? Who are some of the horses that you want?
Yeah, I started with the same 2 actually, because this is one of those situations where you have these lightly raced horses that ran a big figure early. And it's hard because it's counterintuitive for a horse player to try to figure how far a horse can regress and still win.
Yep.
We're trained or our thinking our thought patterns would suggest that we would think about how horses would improve. You almost have the same situation with the one horse Cheever as well.
Exactly. Coming out of that same race and earning a big figure first time out. Is he going to really move up and get into like a 95, 98? Or is he going to regress? And even regressing, could he still be a player with like a mid to high 80s?
Right. And that tells me, how much better can this horse actually get? Both of them, Sierra Silver and Cheever. So one more time is makes total sense as a logical alternative, especially with those, longer works, working with a better horse than Citizen Bull. We already know that. The other one would be Reno, the 7. This is a half to Cairo Memories. It was a pretty decent horse on the turf, but was quick and ran on the dirt. I think it was like one time in the Starlet and finished second on the dirt. If that kind of translates, Reno might be right there with everybody.
And a little bit of early speed as well, right? And the ability to go a little bit longer. So 7 furlongs not necessarily a problem for that horse because this is one who's got some, the ability to go longer in the pedigree. She was good. Even this horse, Kariba, was not bad either. She became a turf sprinter after. She tried to go a little longer earlier on, but she was solid. This is not a bad pedigree at all. So, yeah, I agree with you. I thought she was interesting. The horse on the outside actually is a half to Arklow as well, who would earn $3 million off of really some of those big races at Kentucky Downs, some of those really big money races. That's where he was able to do some of his big work. And I think uh, Lorenzo Bernini, an Italian sculptor and an architect. I always like
Nice.
wonder because I was like, was this a character in like a movie or something? Sounds like a Naked Gun character almost, right? Like something you would see, but I think was a pretty famous Italian, sculptor and architect. So anytime I can give some of my fellow Itals a little bit of love, I will do so. Yeah, you kind of got to Cheever a little bit. I don't know what to do with him. I also a little worried about the rail too.
Yeah, I was gonna say the rail draw is a lot of why I don't really like this horse in this race, but he's definitely well meant. It's not gonna take him too long to break his maiden, but I don't know if this is the right spot.
Any others worth mentioning? Nassau Circle showed a little bit of speed. Penalty Box was one I looked back at. I mean, right now, especially with McCarthy having such success with journalism, you're going to look at his younger horses again, right? Take a second look at a lot of his. He adds the blinkers, and he was behind horses traveling pretty well and just kind of stopped. So maybe the blinkers for a horse like this will help get him a little more focused, because in the mornings he looks like he's got some ability, right? He's flashed some in the mornings, so maybe there's a little something there. It's not the easiest race with a couple horses who have already been in races and earned some big figures for Penalty Box with the blinkers going on. But Barry and I both kind of start with the Baffert, the experience, and maybe even the first time starter, because we've seen that happen a couple times for Sierra Silver running into other Baffert stablemates. There's a look at race number 9. Even Reno was a mention for Barry at 10-1, a very fair price. Let's turn the page to the Grade 3 Daytona. Thought a fun race down the hill. You have Motorius, who is one of the better turf sprinters over the last couple years, Barry. He's good anywhere from 5 all the way up to 6.5 furlongs. You can see, looking at his last 2 races, he's second in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint going 5, and then he wins the Hernandez down the hill going 6.5. He's not unbeatable, though, because he's not that fast early, right? So he can get caught in traffic. He can get caught behind horses, but he's actually drawn really well down the hill towards the outside. He's certainly the horse to beat. If he comes with one of his better efforts, he's going to win this race. But because he's not the fastest, sometimes others can get the jump on him. You have horses that are major players like Goliad, who's the opposite end of the spectrum, right? He just wants to go. And he's been down the hill twice, but I think it's pretty fair to say that we can give him another try down the hill, because one of his races was back in October of 22, and he had a long layoff after that. And then the next time, it almost seemed like they wanted to try to take him off the pace a little bit, and he kind of got caught in between horses, and it didn't really work. I think they will probably let him loose in here, even though he'll probably have to go a little faster than he's used to going a mile. He still, I think, is faster than most of these early on. Brand is coming back second start after a long, long layoff, so he should be better. And then Air Force Red is like very solid in spots like this. You can see he likes the downhill turf course. He's won 5 of his 10 starts. He's a graded stakes winner. He can sit close. So I do think there's a few different ways you can go in this one. Talk to us about the Grade 3 Daytona.
Actually, I have the opposite view.
You're all
I
Motorius?
yeah, I just think that this race totally sets up for this horse. I mean, you can see his 6.5 furlong efforts. He's closer to the pace than he normally is on the flat. And a lot of that time he was running in 5 furlong, 5.5s. So being way back was probably better off for him anyway. But going down the hill, he always gets good position and finishes strong. There's enough speed in this race up front. I mean, this really sets up for this horse to win. The only other horse that I would give any sort of nod to would be the one Air Force Red. Fits the bill as far as I'm concerned with that one race off of the layoff since March. Came back running, didn't get the best of trips in that race. Probably will get a better trip in this race, although I don't think this horse will want to contend for the lead.
No, he's going to want to
If
sit,
they
right?
stalk and sit, they should be fine and might even get first run and might even find themselves on the lead before Motorius gets on the scene. But I think Motorius stands out in this race.
The one other that I'll be using will be Braun, just because I think Braun, I've always liked him. He's got a lot of ability. You can just see he hasn't raced a whole ton. He's been like his own worst enemy. Since September of 2022, he had a year off, came back, ran in the Green Flash in the Eddie D, then was off from September all the way to July of 2024, ran once, and then was off all the way till May of this year. And he just looked like he needed the race a little bit. He got a bit tired late and just weakened. I feel like he'll be sharper here, have a little more bottom. So he's the one that I would be using along with Motorius, who certainly feel is the class of the race. Just worth mentioning too for Goliad, I just don't like. I want to feel like I like him more at this trip than I really do, because I'm just not sure he's going to be able to get an easy lead, or if he gets the lead, he's going to be going a little bit faster than he's used to.
But I think it's his running style. I think he doesn't have that same punch where he can kind of come off the pace slightly.
I agree.
To finish, he's got to be on the lead. I think he just needs to be out in front and winging it,
kind of cruising a little bit more early. So, but the point, my counter will be just from a class standpoint.
Oh, he stands out.
Well, just look at his more recent losses. King of Gosford, grade 1. More Than Looks in a grade 1. Shoemaker Mile, grade 1, and in the Kill Row Mile. So his last 4 losses were all in grade 1s against really, really good horses. And anytime he hasn't been in a grade 1, he's been in the winner's circle over the last year and a half or so. It's just a very different setup. And I generally like horses cutting back from the mile down the hill, because I feel like, just like what you were saying, you feel like they can sit off a little bit, but I don't know if this guy wants to do that. I think he really just wants to be winging it. And that might be a little bit faster than he's used to going. Like, he's not going sub 45s in most of his races, right? Like, if you're going 44 down the hill, that is going slow.
Smoking.
Well,
he's still flying, but
he's
not
flying, but it's not fast for down the hill,
like
right? And
for 43s down
for some of these other horses who can go a lot faster and can sit a little bit closer when they have to. Like, you've seen Brand, for example, he's gone sub 44 down the hill when you look at his race a couple years ago, where he's flying down the hill and he's on the lead. That might just be a little bit too much for Goliad. So it's one of those tough things where you look at the class and the horses he's been facing, really good company. Don't want to take too short of a price on him, though, because I do worry about how it sets up. I'll throw in Bran along with the real horse to beat, Motorius. Barry thinks Motorius is a standout. A horse who I like, Barry, as a horse, but this just feels like a total prep starting spot is Stay Hot. Even though he did win down the hill last year, and look at what he's done in his entire career. His 3-year-old season was really good. He ran 6. He had 6 in the money finishes. He was a stakes winner. He was behind some really nice horses like Formidable Man, King of Gosford, a Tietlin. I think he could keep